For millennia, humanity has cast its gaze into the cosmic ocean, seeking answers, comfort, and a sense of place in the vast, silent dark. We see a celestial tapestry woven with light and shadow, and from it we have drawn maps, not of continents or oceans, but of the human soul. In our modern age, this map has become a familiar, almost constant companion. We open our apps, we read our daily horoscopes, we identify as a Leo, a Capricorn, a Pisces. It's a language we think we know, a system of archetypes that offers a tidy, 12-part framework for understanding ourselves and others. We find a strange comfort in its predictions, a sense of belonging in its categories. This digital zodiac has become a global phenomenon, a daily ritual that connects us, however fleetingly, to the grand ballet of the planets and stars. It gives us labels, personality traits, and a sense of order in a world that often feels overwhelmingly chaotic. We use it to navigate relationships, to understand our own motivations, and sometimes just to have a little fun. But this streamlined, accessible version of the zodiac is like reading the summary on the back of a great, ancient epic. It gives you the plot points, but it robs you of the poetry, the nuance, and the profound, world-altering depth of the original story. The convenience of the modern system has come at a cost measured in forgotten wisdom and lost narratives. The zodiac is more than just horoscopes. It's an ancient language of the cosmos. But what if the stars once whispered secrets we've forgotten? What if the celestial story we read today is an abridged version, a translation that has lost its most powerful verses in the journey across empires and millennia? Before there was the Greek zodiac of personality traits, there was the Babylonian zodiac of omens, agriculture, and divine communication. It was a raw, powerful, and deeply sacred science, practiced by priest astronomers who believed the sky was a tablet upon which the gods wrote the fate of kings and kingdoms. They didn't ask the stars, "Will I find love?" They asked, "Will the harvest be bountiful? Will the river flood? Is the divine order in harmony with the world of humanity?" This original language was more complex, more fluid, and in many ways, more awe-inspiring. It acknowledged that the heavens were not a neat, orderly clockwork of 12 equal parts, but a dynamic, living ecosystem of constellations with overlapping boundaries and varying sizes. It was a system born not from a desire for psychological classification, but from a profound and humbling reverence for the immense, mysterious power of the cosmos. It was a dialogue with divinity, and somewhere along the way, we stopped listening to the full conversation. We live with the echo of this ancient practice, but we have forgotten the original sound. The popular astrology of today is a descendant, but it is a descendant that has inherited the names and symbols without the full weight of their history. The 12 signs we know are a standardized system, simplified and codified for mathematical elegance and cultural transmission. But in the process of this streamlining, entire constellations that sat upon the sun's sacred path, the ecliptic, were edited out of the story. They were deemed inconvenient, disruptive to the neat symmetry of a 360-degree circle divided by 12. These are the ghost constellations, the forgotten archetypes of the zodiac. Their stories, their energies, and their lessons were paved over by history, but they never truly left the sky. They are still there, waiting in the star-dusted darkness between the signs we know, holding profound lessons for those willing to look past the familiar map. Today, we journey back to the dawn of astrology. We will uncover the Babylonian roots of this cosmic language, explore the lost zodiac signs that were cast aside by history, and discover how these forgotten archetypes, the healer, the transformer, the serpent bearer, still hold powerful, relevant, and transformative lessons for us today. The stars have more to tell us. We simply need to learn how to listen again. Our story begins not in the pages of a modern magazine, but in the fertile crescent between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, over 4,000 years ago. In the sprawling city-states of Mesopotamia, particularly in Babylonia, humanity's relationship with the stars evolved from simple navigation into a sophisticated, sacred science. The Babylonians were meticulous observers. Night after night, from the tops of their massive stone ziggurats, priest astronomers would track the movements of the moon, the sun, and the 5 visible planets, which they called bibu, or wild sheep, for their wandering paths against the backdrop of the fixed stars. They recorded these movements with painstaking precision on clay tablets, creating vast astronomical diaries like the legendary Enuma Anu Enlil, a collection of over 7,000 celestial omens. For them, the sky was not a void. It was a living entity, the canvas of the gods. Each celestial event, an eclipse, the appearance of a comet, the position of a planet within a constellation, was a divine message, a form of cosmic writing that foretold events on Earth. This was not astrology for the common person. It was a state secret, a tool of power used to guide the decisions of the king and ensure the stability of the empire. The celestial was inextricably linked to the terrestrial. The rising of a specific constellation could signal the time for planting or harvesting, a crucial link between the heavens and survival itself. The Babylonians were the first to systematically map this celestial highway. They observed that the sun, moon, and planets all traveled along a similar, narrow band in the sky, a path we now call the ecliptic. To bring order to their observations and predictions, they divided this path into 12 distinct segments, each 30 degrees wide, creating the world's first zodiac. The choice of 12 was not arbitrary. It was a reflection of their mathematical and cosmological worldview. Their number system was sexagesimal, base 60, and 12 was a convenient and sacred number that neatly divided the 360 degrees of a circle. It also corresponded beautifully with the approximately 12 lunar cycles that occur within a single solar year. Each of these 12 segments was named for the most prominent constellation that resided within it. These were not yet the personality archetypes we know today. They were markers, signposts in the sky, each with its own set of associated omens and divine correspondences. The constellation we call Aries was the hired man, a symbol of agricultural labor. The one we call Taurus was the bull of heaven, a powerful figure from their mythology, famously featured in the Epic of Gilgamesh. This system was a grand synthesis of mathematics, mythology, and observational science, designed to create a calendar, a clock, and a divine communication system all in one. The zodiac we inherited is a Hellenistic Greek interpretation of this Babylonian foundation. When Alexander the Great conquered the Persian Empire, Greek and Babylonian cultures collided, and the Greeks, with their love for philosophy, mathematics, and humanism, adopted and adapted the zodiac. They replaced the Babylonian names with figures from their own mythology and, most importantly, shifted its focus from state-level omens to the individual's personality and destiny. The horoscope, as we know it, was born. But in this act of translation, crucial details were lost. The key difference lies in the sky itself. The Babylonian constellations were not uniform. Some were vast, some were small, and their boundaries were messy and overlapping. The sun doesn't spend an equal amount of time in each one. To fit this beautifully messy reality into their elegant, geometric system of 12 equal 30-degree slices, the Greeks, and later the influential astronomer Ptolemy, made an editorial decision. They omitted a major constellation that the sun clearly passes through every year, Ophiuchus, the serpent-bearer. It lay inconveniently between Scorpio and Sagittarius, and including it would have meant creating a 13-sign system, disrupting the perfect symmetry of 12. So, Ophiuchus, along with its companion Serpens, the serpent, was erased from the astrological map, becoming the first and most famous of the forgotten signs. To understand what was lost when these signs were forgotten, we must first understand the concept of archetypes. An archetype is a universal, primordial symbol or pattern of behavior that is embedded in the collective unconscious of humanity. It's a term popularized by the psychologist Carl Jung, but the idea is as old as storytelling itself. The heroic warrior who slays the dragon, the wise old sage who offers cryptic advice, the nurturing mother, the rebellious trickster. These are not just characters. They are fundamental energies, psychic structures that reside within all of us. They are the building blocks of our myths, our dreams, and our understanding of the human experience. The signs of the zodiac are, at their core, 12 powerful archetypes. Aries is the warrior, Taurus is the earth spirit, Gemini is the messenger, Cancer is the nurturer, and so on. Each sign represents a fundamental facet of life, a specific way of being and interacting with the world. When we say someone is a Leo, we're not saying they're literally a lion. We are saying that the archetype of the sovereign, the performer, the radiant king or queen is a dominant energy in their personality. These archetypes are not meant to be rigid boxes, but rather lenses through which we can understand our own potential, our challenges, and our innate gifts. When the zodiac was standardized to 12 signs, we didn't just lose a constellation. We lost a set of powerful and essential archetypes. The most significant of these is Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. In mythology, Ophiuchus is linked to Asclepius, the Greek god of medicine and healing. He was a mortal who became so skilled in the healing arts that he learned the secret of resurrecting the dead, a power that so threatened the cosmic order that Zeus struck him down and placed him among the stars. Ophiuchus, therefore, is the archetype of the healer, but not just any healer. He is the wounded healer, the one who understands both life and death, poison and cure, sickness and health. He holds the serpent, serpens, in his hands, demonstrating his mastery over the very forces that can kill. This archetype represents the integration of opposites, the ability to transmute pain into wisdom, and the courage to engage with life's deepest dualities. Held by Ophiuchus is Serpens, the serpent, itself a powerful forgotten archetype. While Scorpio deals with themes of transformation through death and rebirth, Serpens embodies the process of transformation itself, the constant, cyclical shedding of old skin. It is the archetype of the alchemist, the innovator, the one who understands that to grow, one must let go. Serpens represents renewal, the raw life force, and the wisdom that comes from navigating the dark, hidden places within ourselves, and emerging reborn. And beyond Ophiuchus and Serpens, there are other lost celestial symbols that once held deep meaning. While not a formal zodiac sign on the ecliptic, the constellation Aquila, the eagle, was deeply significant, and some ancient cultures revered the symbol of the owl, often associated with the goddess Athena or Lilith. The owl of Athena represents a kind of wisdom that the other signs don't fully capture. The wisdom of quiet observation, strategic insight, and the ability to see clearly in the dark. It is the archetype of intuition, of knowing without knowing how you know. These archetypes represent fundamental human experiences that were marginalized in the simplified system. So why did they disappear? The primary reason was a historical and philosophical shift driven by the Greeks, and later codified by the Greco-Egyptian astronomer Claudius Ptolemy in the 2nd century AD. In his seminal work, the Tetrabiblos, Ptolemy laid out the principles of Hellenistic astrology that would dominate Western thought for the next 2,000 years. His goal was to create a rational, mathematically coherent system. A circle has 360 degrees, and 12 is a perfect divisor that aligns with the seasons and months. 13 is messy. It's a prime number. It disrupts the elegant harmony. So, for the sake of mathematical and philosophical purity, Ophiuchus was omitted. It wasn't a malicious conspiracy to hide the truth, but rather an act of cultural curation. The messy, observational, omen-based system of the Babylonians was streamlined into a clean, geometric, personality-based system for the Greeks. Over centuries of cultural transmission, this simplified 12-sign version became the undisputed standard. The memory of the other constellations on the ecliptic faded from astrological practice, becoming footnotes in history, ghosts in the celestial machine, their potent archetypal lessons forgotten by all but a few. Amidst the thousands of tablets detailing planetary movements and royal omens, a philosophical sentiment survived the ages, a piece of wisdom that reveals the true heart of Babylonian celestial study. It's a proverb that cuts through the modern noise of fatalistic predictions and deterministic horoscopes. And it says this: the stars do not dictate our fate, they illuminate our choices. Let those words sink in. This is not the language of a fortune teller predicting an unavoidable future. It is the language of a sage offering a map. It speaks not of a predetermined path, but of a landscape through which we must navigate. This single sentence encapsulates a worldview that is profoundly empowering, a perspective that has been largely lost in the transition to pop astrology. It reframes the entire purpose of looking at the sky, moving it away from a passive acceptance of destiny and towards an active engagement with possibility. The Babylonians saw the stars as a source of divine information, a weather report for the soul and the state. A forecast of rain doesn't force you to get wet. It gives you the information you need to decide whether to carry an umbrella, stay inside, or dance in the downpour. The choice remains yours. Let's analyze this profound statement. The word dictate implies control, a lack of agency, a script that has already been written for us to act out. This is often the trap of modern, unexamined astrology. Mercury is in retrograde, so of course my computer crashed and I got into a fight with my partner. This perspective turns us into victims of cosmic weather, absolving us of responsibility and power. It's a passive stance. The ancient proverb offers a powerful alternative with the word illuminate. To illuminate is to shed light upon, to make clear, to reveal what is already there. The stars, in this view, do not create the circumstances of our lives. They reveal the energetic patterns and themes that are at play. They light up the potential challenges and opportunities on our path. A difficult planetary alignment doesn't doom you to failure. It illuminates the area of your life where you're being called to practice patience, courage, and resilience. A favorable alignment doesn't hand you success on a silver platter. It illuminates the path of least resistance, showing you where your efforts are most likely to bear fruit if you choose to apply them. It restores agency to the individual. The power is not in the stars. The power is in our response to the light they shed. This is precisely why rediscovering the forgotten signs is so important. They don't just add more categories, they add more light. They illuminate facets of the human experience that the 12-sign system can sometimes overlook. If you have always felt like you exist between two worlds, struggling to reconcile opposites within yourself, the archetype of Ophiuchus illuminates this as a sacred calling, the path of the healer and the mediator, rather than a flaw. If you're going through a period of intense, chaotic change where you feel you're losing your identity, the archetype of Serpens illuminates this not as a breakdown, but as a necessary and powerful process of renewal, of shedding an old skin to make way for a more authentic self. These lost archetypes provide a richer vocabulary for our inner lives. They give us new ways to understand our struggles and our strengths. By embracing the idea that the stars are here to illuminate our choices, not dictate our fate, we transform astrology from a parlor game of prediction into a profound tool for self-awareness, empowerment, and conscious evolution. The forgotten signs are missing lanterns, and by relighting them, we can see the path ahead and our place upon it with far greater clarity. Let us now walk into the starlight of these forgotten archetypes, beginning with the most prominent, Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. Those who resonate with this powerful energy are often natural healers, mediators, and visionaries. They are born with an innate understanding of duality and are uniquely comfortable living in the spaces between opposites. Where others see black and white, the Ophiuchian soul sees an infinite spectrum of gray. They are the diplomats who can bridge warring factions, the therapists who can hold space for both a person's light and their shadow, the artists who explore the complex relationship between beauty and pain. The core trait of Ophiuchus is the drive for unity and higher knowledge. They are often seekers, drawn to esoteric wisdom, scientific discovery, and spiritual pursuits that promise to unlock the secrets of the universe. Their symbolism is profound. By holding the serpent, they are not denying its dangerous nature. They are engaging with it, mastering it, and transmuting its raw, chaotic energy into healing power. This archetype carries a great burden, but also a great gift: the ability to face life's poisons, be it trauma, conflict, or despair, and transform them into medicine, not just for themselves, but for the world. They're the bridges between the heavens and the earth, the conscious and the unconscious, life and death. Now, let's turn to the creature in Ophiuchus's grasp, Serpens, the serpent. While often depicted as a single entity, in the sky it is two separate constellations: Serpens Caput, the head, and Serpens Cauda, the tail, and its archetype is distinct from the scorpion's sting. Serpens is the raw, primal force of transformation itself. If Ophiuchus is the master of healing, Serpens is the engine of change. Those who embody the Serpens archetype are innovators, revolutionaries, and alchemists of the soul. They are deeply introspective and unafraid to descend into the underworld of their own psyche to confront what needs to be changed. They have an innate understanding that all growth requires a form of death, the death of old beliefs, old habits, old identities. The symbolism of shedding skin is central here. The serpent's energy drives us to periodically release the past, to let go of what no longer serves us, no matter how comfortable or familiar it may be. This can be a tumultuous, chaotic process, but it is always in the service of renewal and rebirth. These individuals are often catalysts for change in their communities and workplaces, challenging the status quo and inspiring others to evolve. They teach us that true strength lies not in permanence, but in the courage to endlessly reinvent ourselves. While not a forgotten zodiac sign, there's another powerful archetype often excluded from basic astrology that deepens this conversation: Chiron, the wounded healer. In mythology, Chiron was a wise and immortal centaur, a teacher and mentor to the greatest heroes. Unlike other centaurs, he was civilized and kind, but he was struck by a poisoned arrow and, despite his mastery of the healing arts, he could not cure his own wound. Because he was immortal, he could not die and was forced to live in eternal agony. This profound story gives us the archetype of the wounded healer. Chiron represents the part of us that is most deeply wounded, the source of our greatest and most enduring pain. But crucially, it is this very wound that becomes the source of our greatest compassion, wisdom, and ability to help others. The Chiron archetype speaks to the therapist who is drawn to their profession because of their own family trauma, the addiction counselor who is in recovery themselves, the teacher who excels at helping struggling students because they once struggled. It teaches us that our vulnerabilities are not weaknesses to be hidden, but sacred portals through which our greatest gifts can emerge. It is the alchemy of turning personal pain into universal purpose. The difference between the astrology we know and the sky that has become starkly clear when we compare these two models. On one side, we have the modern tropical zodiac, a neat, tidy, symbolic system. It's elegant, balanced, and easy to work with. It's a perfect circle divided into 12 equal parts, a triumph of geometric and philosophical order. On the other side, we have the astronomical reality, which the ancient Babylonians observed more literally. Here, the zodiac is not a perfect wheel, but a dynamic, uneven belt of constellations. The sun spends over 45 days passing through Virgo, but only about 7 days passing through Scorpius. And for approximately 18 days, from around November 29th to December 17th, the sun travels directly through the constellation of Ophiuchus. This visual comparison makes it undeniable. Our modern system is a deliberate simplification, a choice to favor symbolic symmetry over astronomical messiness. In making this choice, we gained a clean system, but we lost the raw, untamed archetypes of the serpent bearer, the transformer, and the profound wisdom of the wounded healer that they represent. The sky is telling a more complex story than the one we are used to reading. Now, let's bring this ancient wisdom into the present moment, into your own life. History and theory are fascinating, But the true power of these forgotten archetypes lies in their ability to illuminate your personal journey. So, I invite you to pause and engage in a moment of self-reflection. Listen to the echoes of these lost signs. Do any of these archetypes resonate with your personality or your life challenges? Have you often felt like a bridge between people or ideas, constantly seeking to unify opposing forces? Perhaps the energy of Ophiuchus, the healer and mediator, has been a silent companion on your path. Have you undergone a profound, identity-shattering transformation, emerging from a difficult period feeling completely new, as if you've shed an old skin? That is the potent energy of Serpens, the alchemist of renewal. Or perhaps you found that your deepest sources of pain and vulnerability have, over time, become your greatest strengths and the source of your deepest empathy for others? This is the sacred signature of Chiron, the wounded healer. You don't need a star chart to feel the truth of an archetype. The first step is simply to listen to the whispers of your own experience. If you feel a connection and wish to explore further, there are practical steps you can take to integrate this forgotten wisdom. First, you can explore your birth chart through a different lens. There are numerous online resources and astronomical programs that can calculate your zodiac sign based on the 13-sign system, which includes Ophiuchus. You might find that your sun sign changes, or you might discover that while your sun remains in one sign, a significant planet falls within the boundaries of a forgotten one, adding a new layer to your cosmic makeup. See this not as a replacement, but as an expansion of your identity. Second, you can engage with these archetypes on a symbolic level. Meditate on the symbolism of the serpent and its power of renewal during key life transitions, like a career change or the end of a relationship. When you feel caught between two difficult choices, invoke the balancing, unifying energy of the serpent bearer. Use these archetypes as focal points for journaling, creative work, or contemplation. They are tools for introspection, waiting to be picked up and used. The relevance of these archetypes in our modern world is immense and intensely practical. Understanding the Ophiuchus archetype can revolutionize how we approach careers in healing, diplomacy, and social justice, emphasizing integration over opposition. In our relationships, it can help us become better listeners and more compassionate mediators, capable of holding space for conflicting perspectives. The Serpens archetype is the patron saint of innovation, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. It gives us the courage to pivot in our careers, to leave behind what is safe but stagnant, and to embrace the creative destruction necessary for true progress. It reminds us that our capacity for reinvention is our greatest asset in a rapidly changing world. And the wisdom of Chiron is perhaps the most vital of all in an era that often encourages us to present a flawless, curated version of ourselves. It teaches us that authentic leadership and meaningful connection come not from pretending to be perfect, but from having the courage to share our scars and the wisdom they have imparted. These are not just ancient myths. They are blueprints for a more resilient, authentic, and integrated way of living. We began our journey tonight beneath a familiar sky, guided by 12 familiar signs. We travel back through 4,000 years of history to the cradle of civilization, where priest astronomers first read the divine language of the cosmos. We witnessed how this profound and complex wisdom was translated, simplified, and standardized, a process that gave us the astrology we know today, but at the cost of forgetting some of its most potent characters. We have unearthed these ghost constellations, not as astrological novelties, but as vital, missing pieces of our collective human story. We have met Ophiuchus, the healer who bridges worlds, Serpens, the alchemist of transformation, and Chiron, the sage who teaches from his own wounds. We have learned that the original purpose of astrology was not to chain us to a predetermined fate, but to illuminate our path, empowering us with the wisdom to make more conscious, courageous choices. The sky is not a static map. It is a living, breathing epic, and we have only just begun to reread its lost chapters. The great lesson of the forgotten zodiac is this: Our understanding of ourselves, like our understanding of the universe, should never be fixed or final. There is always more to discover, more complexity to embrace, more wisdom to unearth. These lost archetypes invite us to look deeper, to question the simple categories we place ourselves in, and to embrace the beautifully messy, contradictory, and transformative nature of being human. They remind us that healing, renewal, and wisdom born of pain are not fringe experiences, but central to our journey. The stars are still speaking, whispering the same ancient secrets of integration and evolution that they shared with the Babylonians millennia ago. The question is no longer what they are saying, but whether we are finally ready to listen to the whole story. The stars still speak, if we learn to listen. Now I want to turn the conversation over to you. After hearing their stories, which forgotten sign or archetype resonates with you the most? Is it the healer, the transformer, or the wounded mentor? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your story is part of this cosmic exploration. And if you found this journey through the forgotten zodiac enlightening, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the cosmos.